Good afternoon. My name is Gloria Chun-Hu. I'm a member of the board of directors for the League of Women Voters, and I'm also a past president of the San Jose Santa Clara League. The League of Women Voters also serves, in addition to San Jose and Santa Clara, the cities of Milpitas, Morgan Hill, and Gilroy. I'd just like to remind us all that the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan, yet political organization. Our purpose is to encourage informed and active participation in government and to influence the public through education and advocacy. And we are nonpartisan because we never support or oppose any political party or candidate. Each month at our Lunch with League, we bring in a speaker who can share information and ideas that will help us better understand the issues in our community. So I'm very pleased and honored this month to welcome San Jose Police Chief Anthony Mata, who is going to discuss his vision and priorities for the San Jose Police Department. Chief Mata joined the department in 1996, so he's had many years of experience with San Jose Police, and he's had many positions, including field training officer and as a detective in the robbery, day, night, and homicide units. What a wealth of experience. He has had a series of promotions, being named sergeant in 2005, lieutenant in 2011, and captain in 2015. He became the deputy chief of police in 2016 and assumed command of the chief executive office in 2019. And it was 2 years ago, in 2021, he was confirmed as chief of police. He is a native of Chicago. He holds a BA from the University of Illinois and a master's degree in public administration from San Jose State University. He is also a graduate of the Police Executive Research Forum's Senior Management Institute for Police. What a wealth of information, a wealth of background and experience Chief Mata brings to the city of San Jose. We'll just start with his presentation, and then following that, League member Barbara Marshman will pose questions that many of you asked in advance as part of the registration process, and you can always use the chat box to add additional questions that we will try to get to as well. So please join me in giving a warm virtual welcome to San Jose Police Chief Anthony Mata. Chief Mata, welcome to Lunch with League.
Good afternoon, and everyone, and thank you, Gloria, for the introduction, and to also the League of Women Voters for having me here today, and thank you to your president, Diane, for inviting me. I'm excited. It's a pleasure to be here and to share what's all important to us, information in regards to your police department and public safety, because I believe public safety involves all of us to working together, listening, coming up with solutions to keep our community safe. So public safety, again, is everyone's responsibility, and we're part of that, and we're happy to support our community in that effort. I'd like to start off by saying that ever since I took this position 2 years ago, people always ask me, why did you take it? Why now? Yes, that's true. I could retire, but that's not why I'm here. Like many officers here at the San Jose Police Department, we're here because we care about our community. We want to make a difference. We want to help any way we can, be a resource for our community, and that's why I'm here as your chief of 2 years, and thank you for your support, and know that that support is going to continue. I want to start off by saying that, or by advising everyone that my vision since I took over this position is that everyone in this city have the highest trust and confidence in this police department. And the way we're going to achieve that is by providing the best service at all levels, and also by engaging and having built relationships with our community, such as this forum here and others. So that's my vision, and that's primarily what I tell our officers here, and I tell the community. And when I talk about service, that means from the time folks call 911 to the time we respond, our detectives when they follow up on specific incidents, or even when we're out in the community. speaking with our members or our residents. So that's very important to me. So far we're doing well, I hope. And if we're not, I want to hear about it because that's very important to me. Um, and I have, again, three priorities that I continue to work on since I took over this position. The first is stabilizing our resources. And what I mean by that is ensuring that we have the proper staffing, the budget, and the equipment and training for our officers so we can provide the best service that we can. And I'll go into specific details of each. The other priority is continuous improvement for our department. We cannot just sit back and say everything's fine. No organization can. We need to look for efficiencies, and we have to provide, again, for the best services that we can provide, being the effective police department that we can be. So I'm always open to continuously improving our services, what we do, how we do it, and as part of currently the topic or the issue of reimagining public safety. So that's something that I'll touch upon as well. And then my last priority is exactly this: increasing our community engagement and changing our brand. In that I understand that because San Jose is so diverse, every community is different, and we need to understand and listen to our community to determine what services we can provide. And if it doesn't fall within our duties, then we can be that resource for our community to provide them and link them to the proper resources and services that are needed to solve an issue. So again, stabilizing our resources, reimagining public safety, continuous improvement, and increasing our community engagement are my priorities. And I'll start off by staffing. As you heard in the news and also nationwide, there is a shortage of law enforcement officers. And if you know someone that will make a great officer, please send them my way. So one of the things I want to let the group know and the community know that you have a dedicated workforce. Even though we're small in number, we're at 1,173 officers that are authorized. Also, we have over 560 professional staff, and that includes our community service officers, which are amazing. You've probably seen them running around in the white car and light blue uniform. They support our officers by taking reports and responding to non-emergency calls. We have our records unit that helps out when our community comes here to our main lobby, which, by the way, I apologize, it's a small main lobby for over 1 million people, but we're working on expanding that. And then also our first responders, our amazing communication staff. They're do an amazing job and handle over 350,000 calls a year that they receive. So again, and we have various analysts throughout our department that help support the police officers that are out there. In comparison, so I have close to 1,700 employees. In comparison, right, to other cities, given that we're the 10th largest city in the nation, San Francisco, who's up to the north of us, they have 875,000 in population. They have over 2,000 officers. San Diego, down south, they have, I believe, 1.4 million in population. They have 1,800 officers. Austin, city of Austin, Texas, we go back and forth in terms of population. They have over 1 million as well. They have 1,800 officers. And our former chief, who's the chief of Dallas right now, their population is 1.3 million. he has almost 3,000 officers. So again, that puts it into perspective in terms of um, the staffing that we have and why it's a priority for me. Because in 2008, we used to have 1,400 officers. And I always get asked, how many officers do you need, Chief? And I said, well, just get me to 1,400. When we had 1,400 back in 2008 and beyond, we were the safest, largest city in the nation. And that's my goal, right, is to increase our department. Granted that our population has grown since 2008. I want to say that we had a population of around 800,000 at that time. We're well over 1 million now. But I understand that there are other priorities here in the city. But to be effective, we need to increase our force here. And just so you know how great our department is that we always hear about the crime and everything that's going on there here in our city. Well, I understand that we had some traffic fatalities last year. I think we had 63 accidents that resulted in 65 deaths. And the year prior in 21, we had 58 accidents that caused 60 deaths. But I can say that this year we're, and I'm going to knock on wood here, we're at a not so bad pace for reaching those numbers. As of this month, we've had seven fatal accidents resulting in 8 deaths. Last year, we were at 26 fatal accidents with 28 deaths. So again, not happy with any fatality, but it is not as rapid as last year. And despite us having a limited traffic enforcement unit, we have 16 officers there in that unit. We used to have up to 40, over 40, when we had the staffing. They've issued, in 21, they issued 15,000 citations. Last year, they issued over 19,000 citations. So they're out there. I know that we can't be everywhere, but just know that if there's an issue throughout the city, for example, with these accidents, we deploy our traffic, our motor officers to those areas to not only educate the community, but also issue the citations when warranted. Again, I mentioned our communication staff, right? They answered over 370,000 calls for service last year. Your officers have seized last year over 1,200 firearms, 900 the year prior. Out of those 1,200 firearms, over 300 were the private made firearms, the PMFs or the ghost guns, and I'll talk about that later. Our homicide unit, I'm very proud of them. We had 35 homicides last year, and our homicide unit solved each and every one of those homicides for 100% solve rate. I don't think any department can boast those figures, but I can, because we have a very dedicated and passionate workforce and detectives in that area. In addition to the homicides that they solved last year, they also solved 4 other cold cases. So again, well over that amount. Again, we solved big cases, the Home Depot fire, the baby Brandon kidnapping, several other armed robbery strings where we've seen folks that come out of the city and prey and target our AAPI community. In fact, you've probably seen a recent arrest also this year where we did that. We tracked the individuals to Oakland where, again, those individuals were targeting our AAPI community by robbing our residents of their belongings. And again, that's something that we don't stand for. No one should be a victim. We should not be fearful of living in our communities, but just know that our officers, even though small, they're out there every day keeping our communities safe and being proactive, because that is what has maintained our community safe. In terms of budget, again, it goes back to our resources. Right now, the mayor and the city council and our city manager are working on a budget for this year. And our budget here at the police department is over 500 million. That sounds like a lot, but I'm also going to give you some statistics on that. San Francisco, already mentioned, their budget for law enforcement is 714 million. Oakland, much smaller than us, their budget is over 600 million. Los Angeles, much bigger city, their budget for law enforcement is 1.8 billion. My former city, the Chicago Police Department, their budget is 1.7 billion. And again, I understand that running an operation or a service that's 24/7, 365 days is expensive. Again, I look at it as a business. We're in the people business, but we also have to invest in our infrastructure. And again, that goes into what I mentioned in terms of our staffing, working great with our council members, our city manager, and our mayor. I know that in the budget, we're requesting additional officers on an ongoing basis, and want to ensure that growth continues. And I understand, right? Economics and the economy is not the best, but we're doing our best along working with City Hall to ensure that we provide the best services that we can when our residents call. And then the last piece of our resources is the equipment, right? Today, if you're inclined to do so, we're going to be presenting an update on the police department's statistics, and also we're going to be reporting out on our military equipment use. That's a new requirement, state law that we have to do. So if you're so inclined, at 1:30, the Public Safety Strategic Support Committee of the city will be meeting, and we'll be presenting on those items. And that's every other month that we report out. So if you want to learn more about that, please tune in. I believe it's the City of San Jose channel. I think it's channel 26 for those of you who have cable or online. I will be talking about our military equipment and some of the things that we're doing. But again, in order to keep our community safe, we need to have the equipment, right? To keep not only the officers safe, but the community safe. And then the training, right? There's all sorts of training we have. We're mandated by the state to have continuous professional training every year and every other year as well. So that's something that we do, whether it be procedural justice, bias-based policing, updates on domestic violence, gun laws, you name it. We have to continue and keep up with the new laws, and also with the new recruits, officers coming in, so they're well aware of what their duties are and what we can provide in terms of service to our community. So again, that's very important. The budget, I just want to make an important point. Even though it's over 500 million, 91%, over 90% is for personnel costs. The remaining is, again, for training and equipment. And again, we're trying to do our best by adding foot patrols, our mobile crisis assessment team, which it's a unit that we developed or stood up so they can respond to individuals that are in a mental health crisis, along with a county clinician. I know that we have some money to account for our attrition, because not everyone stays over 20, 25 years. People retire. So we want to maintain the level of staffing that's needed. And again, that takes us working with our city leaders to ensure that we have the budget and the funding to continue, so we don't lose any additional services. I want to move on to my second priority, which is continuous improvement, or reimagining the public safety. I know and I acknowledge the past harm that our profession has done to our community. And for that reason, we need to continue to do better, to improve, to train our officers to hold them accountable as well on bias-based policing, procedural justice, um, whatever is needed to ensure that our community, our officers are responsive to our community and they understand our community where they're at in their lives, in the community, to ensure that we listen and we provide the best services possible. Recently, we've had several audits by outside agencies, taking a look at and reports done on this police department, again, to see, provide recommendations. We received almost over 500 recommendations. I'm glad that people are paying attention, but I honestly don't think any organization, agency, whether it be public or private, that can handle 500 recommendations and keep their organization running. I know that we need to focus on what's important and what we need to fix. So that's why, again, we're working with our city leaders and others to ensure that out of those 500, we look at recommendations and ways that are reasonable and sustainable. And again, determine what we're trying to accomplish and trying to fix. I know that, again, there's some segments of our community that want to defund the police and other things like that. However, just know that our city leaders are not there. They value what we do and they respect that we need to improve and change because we can always do better. We can always improve. But under my leadership, we are also going to hold our officers accountable because we're here to provide a service. And that's what, as I mentioned, my vision is to provide the best service possible. And when we fall short of that, I want to know immediately, and we want to look into that. And if it results in terminating folks, which I have, then so be it. But we're here to provide a service. We're here to work with our community and to treat everybody with dignity and respect. And again, I understand that not every call that we receive is a law enforcement matter. So what I want to do is partner and look at these recommendations and to see who else can help us, whether it be other social service agencies, county, schools, nonprofits, other health partners, again, to help out because we know that, we have calls and incidents of mental health, substance abuse, whether it's responding to schools. Again, we need to work together to find reasonable solutions that work for both the community, this department, and the city. So I'm committed to improving and making sure that we provide the best service possible. The last priority is increasing our community engagement. And it's like having events like this. So I know that we need to listen to our communities and to have discussions and to better understand how we can provide our services. Like I mentioned at the onset, every community is different, and we need to listen and understand what's needed in those communities. Some communities are very highly impacted with violent crime and gangs, unfortunately. But that's something that we need to better understand and have a better response. I'm all about intelligence-led policing. We can't go in and occupy a community with police services. That's not going to work. And that's why I'm very for listening and discussing what's needed and to use the proper resources or the limited resources that we have efficiently and effectively to remove those that are causing harm to our community out of that community and hold them accountable as well. But again, I understand that we can provide better services and we need to connect our community with other resources and services that are available, because we're not the solution to everything. Again, some of the things that I've done is have business and community walks, getting to know every segment of our community, whether it be the AAPI community, doing presentations there with our crime prevention folks, speaking at the Rotary, speaking here at the League here today. Again, I want our community to know why we do things, how we do it, and what we can do better, right? So we can, again, provide the best services that we can. And like I mentioned at the outset as well, is public safety is everyone's responsibility. We share that responsibility for safety. So, along with our crime prevention unit, we're here to provide presentations, posting things on social media, our websites, and the like, again, to get officers out of their car and to meet our community. In fact, a couple weeks ago, we had an event with our neurodiverse community at Kelly Park to get to know our community. And that's something that, we've never done. Our officers had a great time in meeting that community, and again, how we can support our community. So if the League, or if you belong to a neighborhood association and you want us there, summertime's coming. I know the sun's out today and the rest of the week, hopefully, and the rest of the summer, we're here, right? We're here to meet you, to welcome, and hopefully to welcome our officers there in your community to, again, so you can get to know our community. With that, I'll turn it back over to Gloria, and then we'll take some questions.
Thank you so much, Chief Mata. It's wonderful to hear so much about the information about our police department, and also to have some perspective in terms of the size and the budget and looking at other cities. And I know for the longest time, San Jose had this reputation, exactly as you said, for the safest large city practically in the nation, and certainly the homicide rate as compared to many other cities. I will now open the program to questions. I'd like to introduce Barbara Marshman, my colleague and friend. She's a League member, and most of us also know her as the former editorial page editor of the San Jose Mercury News, where she was just a wonderful friend of all important community events and issues around that. She's very familiar with that. So Barbara's going to handle as many of the questions that we got from you in the audience as you registered, but there are a couple that came in through the chat. So Barbara, I'll turn it to you.
Thank you, Gloria. And Chief Mata, it's really nice to meet you. If I were back in the Merc, I would have met you by now. And it's, I see sometimes, gee, I'd like to get to know him. And a lot of the things you're talking about are really encouraging. I'm going to focus on a few things that concern people, because I know you want to hear about that. One of them is property crime, which of course we all see now on videos on Nextdoor and other things, and we're more aware of them. But there are things like shoplifting that have just become rampant. Store clerks tell us, of course, in my neighborhood, we had a young man shot by a shoplifter, killed last year. And the clerks tell us they're told the police can't do anything. They see people putting things into bags and they don't call the police because they've been told that they can't help. Is that a matter of manpower, or is it more the fact that thefts of under $900 or something like that really are not treated seriously by the law?
That's a great question, Barbara. And I'll start with our officers shouldn't be telling anyone in our community that we cannot help. We are here to help, and that's one of the things that I want to find out. You can email me, or we have captains in each division. The department is broken up into different divisions, but that area where you had talked about where that happened over off of Hamilton. That was our Southern Division, and each division has a captain, and they're like the mini chief of that specific division. And I ensure that the people that I've been promoting, again, share that same vision. So we want to know when officers are saying that they cannot help, but we are here to help. Going back to the thefts and also some of the burglaries, right? Yes, we've seen the rampant shoplifting by groups of individuals that either take over Santana Row, or we saw some things in San Francisco and others where folks are emboldened. And my opinion that the reason why they're emboldened is they know that there is no consequences for their actions. And it is difficult for us. You know, you have a group of 20 or 30 going in and robbing something, or not robbing, stealing from a store. You know, who do you catch? You know, how do you sort all that out? But you know, that's for us to figure out when we come across that. But it is difficult. But one of the things that makes it more difficult, in addition to you know, having a whole large group, is California's 2014 the Prop 47, which reduced the accountability and the consequences for what you just mentioned, less than the dollar value of a theft. Right, before it used to be you know, close to $400. Now they raise it to $950. Right, for theft, receiving stolen property, you know, check forgery, writing back checks. So again, before the passages of that proposition, these offenses could be charged as a felony, right? And then if you had a petty theft with a prior, right, then you know, you would be sent to prison or a longer jail term. Now there are no consequences. All it is a citation, a ticket, and unfortunately, some folks do show up to court, and some do not. So that's something that has changed. I know that in the legislature right now, AB 1708 is trying to change that, right? Because, you know, and again, I want to reach out or state that the Public Policy Institute of California published a report on the impact of Prop 47. So I think that'll be a good resource to learn more about that. But the current AB 1708 wants to change Prop 47 in terms of property crimes and thefts. So, you know, we can, you know, hold individuals that commit these offenses accountable. And I know that the League of Cities, the District Attorney's Office, various retailers are working to solve this issue, and hopefully to have more accountability. So that's something that, you know, is rampant throughout California and others. But one of the things that I can suggest is that, again, part of my community engagement is to invite us, if you belong to a neighborhood association or the league, if they want us to give a presentation by our crime prevention unit, that's something that we can definitely do, so we can empower our community, our residents, so they will not be targets of theft or some type of burglary.
Thank you. I'd be happy to talk to or email with anyone who wants to. Some things I have heard in person from store people, and others I've heard from neighbors, but it's I would be happy to do that, and I'm sure others would. I wonder if we should encourage folks to get out there on AB 1708. Is that likely to pass? Do you know, is it getting support?
I know that a prior version of this was not supported, did not pass, and I know that they're trying to push this through. So hopefully it does get pushed through.
Okay, thank you. On the traffic problems, the city transportation department is trying to redesign streets to make them safer for pedestrians. How much of the danger to pedestrians at this point do you think is a matter of road design or a matter of lighter enforcement than we were able to do when we had what in comparison was a big police department?
Right. No, that's unfortunately, during COVID, when the streets were, there weren't any cars on the streets.
Yeah.
It was safe, but once it started lifting, yeah, we saw the total disregard, not only for other motorists, but just the laws as well. I mentioned that we have 16 traffic enforcement unit officers, down from over 40 at one point. But again, they're out there, right? They're out there issuing citations. And I know that we need to change the motorists' behavior. So how do you do that, right? And I believe it's through education. And I know, just like everything else, with learning, some people don't take to that. So then that's why we issue citations. In addition to the over 19,000 citations that our motor officers issued last year, they also issued, hundreds of warnings as well. So I think that we're working with the city on the Division Zero program. I know that we're part of that to ensure or to change the engineering of the streets, what they call the road diet, and other things that are being placed out on the street to, again, reduce speed. I know that, and probably everyone I know, I have been caught up in the sideshows, right? When we talk about traffic, and these are individuals coming from outside of the city and took over the streets. I know that our Department of Transportation has been working closely with us to engineer some of the streets. So again, to shrink the roadways so they're not able to do that by placing other types of barriers. So again, it's going to take a while, and I know the city is working hard to reduce safety. I know that we're working right now with our city folks, our Department of Transportation. We were chosen as one of the pilots to implement a red light. I believe it's a red light program for people running red lights. So hopefully it moves forward and we can bring that pilot program here. I know, San Francisco and I want to say Oakland or maybe some other Bay Area here city was also selected because of the high number of pedestrian fatalities here in recent years. But like I mentioned at the onset, is that right now the rate of fatalities has slowed down, and we hope that continues. But again, one is too many. We need to provide that education and also enforcement so we can change motorist behavior.
Thank you. You mentioned during your presentation something about the military equipment that the department now has, and there's going to be a more detailed report, I'm sure, at the council committee. But I wonder if you could briefly talk about how that is likely to be deployed in the city. A couple of our members sent in questions about that.
Sure. And what I'll do is I'll share my screen real quickly here. Okay, so on our website, if we go to the community, records, we have our military equipment program. So legislation, I'll click on it here. A couple of years ago, by the state government, we had to comply with the government code here, 770, that we list all what they defined as military equipment on not only our website and also what we have. And again, today at our public safety committee, we'll be talking about the deployments, the number of deployments, and also going over what we report out as military equipment. Unfortunately, some of the military equipment that they defined are our drones, small little drones that we have that are probably a couple of pounds, our bomb robots, and some of our rifles. But again, this is found on our website. You can again tune in today, but it just talks about the memo that we submitted and where it could be found and its uses. But we have a more detailed, and I want to see if we have our current military equipment. So we have an inventory. Like again, these are our drones. We have over, based on their definitions, over 30 items. I think that we have to report out and its uses. So we have what it is and the product description. And then today, they'll talk about how many deployments of this equipment we've done. So some of the robots here that we use for bomb, obviously we're not going to send an officer to detonate a bomb or retrieve a bomb. We use robots to do that. And again, this is some of the things that,
Right.
that we list.
Well, thank you. That's a great resource.
Yeah.
People can go there and see what's what and where it's likely to show up in the city. I wanted to ask, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if we talked about this before the session or if it was part of your presentation. You mentioned trying to get officers back into the schools. And not just for policing purposes, but for presentations and so on. I knew some school districts did not want officers on campus in an official way, but I got the impression from you that maybe some of them really didn't want officers even making presentations to the kids. Is that a problem now, or do you have trouble getting access just to try to inform people?
Yes, that has been a challenge the last several years. Again, some school districts did not want police on campus, and in fact did not rehire officers that were on campus. And again, that was a project of mine that I developed close to 5-6 years ago. Was to develop an MOU, a memorandum of understanding between the schools, all the high school districts, in terms of what their role is and what our role is in terms of having officers on campus. And basically, our role is to keep intruders from coming on the campus and to keep the campus safe. And if, God forbid, there was an active shooter, they would have, not only one officer there, but, they can call in other officers and provide real-time information as to how to have the resources respond. And then, unfortunately, there's some crimes that are being committed on campus, such as robberies, assaults, or sexual assaults. And that's something that, again, having an officer on campus can take care of that report, call in additional resources to help out. So that was part of the MOU. Again, some school districts did not want us there, did not want to continue with the relationship with the police department. We're fortunate that San Jose Unified did and continues to, and I thank them for their support because they see the value of keeping not only the students safe, but the teachers safe as well, because students need to have a safe learning environment. So what I'm trying to leverage with our vice mayor, because she comes from an education background and was part of the Santa Clara County Education District here, is to open up those conversations again. And because in the past, and we want to continue providing presentations to our schools, right, on the impacts of social media, right, how there are individuals out there that target our young adults. We have a program called Team Kids. In fact, we had a graduation at one of the schools yesterday where we provide a curriculum on how to be a good person, how to be responsible, a whole host of things, knowing what's good and bad to middle school children. So that's something that we do. We provide, topics on, having healthy relationships, because we know that, we need to have our youth, and all of us have a better understanding of conflict resolution. And we give presentations to parents on gang and drug awareness. So again, that's something that I want to continue. Hopefully, with the help of the vice mayor, one of the projects that I want to do is have officers that went or attended local schools here in San Jose go back to those schools and adopt those schools, and not only present these topics or whatever issue is needed at that school, but also to share their experience, and that this is a good profession and what they do and how they can get involved.
Thank you. You mentioned accountability and the fact that you have been letting officers go when necessary and trying to hold people accountable. How do you feel about giving the police auditor more power to directly affect discipline? And how do you feel about civilian oversight? There's a bit of a movement now to try to go in that direction. What's your sense of those?
Sure. So just so you know, yes, there's other agencies that have civilian oversight. However, those agencies are under consent decree. A majority of them, not all of them, a majority. And what that means is that their officers' conduct was so egregious, and they were not addressing it or holding people accountable, that the federal government had to come in and dictate and tell them what to do and implement things to hold officers accountable, to do more thorough investigations, and to discipline individuals. I believe, given the 27 years that I've been here, the model that we have with the independent police auditor is a good one. Again, I'm trying to figure out, based on reports and like I talked about audits and some of the recommendations, is that over the 20 years, what's changed? Have our investigations been incomplete? Have we not disciplined officers? We have. And I'm trying to figure out, other than public pressure, right, and jumping on the bandwagon, is what are we trying to accomplish? What are we trying to fix? And if there is something that we need to improve on, then let's have that conversation, and let's back it up with data. Again, having these conversations in terms of what's reasonable, sustainable. I know that the IPA has been given additional authority. Again, as the title suggests, that office audits our investigations, and I'm more than happy to open up whatever else is needed to have a more transparent look at our investigations. And again, I think we need to separate two things here. One is performance of an officer, and one is misconduct. If an officer fails to turn on a body-worn camera or forgets to do something, do we need to go formal on that discipline and go through and not waste, but allocate resources where those resources can be used better for more egregious misconduct, right? So I believe if it's a minor transgression or performance issue, we need to identify and target that right away, because again, the purpose of discipline is to change behavior and to set a standard. And if we're not doing that, if we're waiting over almost a year or months to address that, then it loses its purpose. It loses its impact. So what we need to do is these low-level transgressions, we need to identify and address immediately and not make it go formal. Again, if it's something that needs to go formal, absolutely. We've had, unfortunately, instances where officers have committed crimes and violated the public trust. And again, when we learn about that and information comes forward, I'm committed to fully investigate that, and if need be, terminate these officers because they have no place in this profession. But I'm all for looking at what's reasonable and what we need to fix.
Thank you. We've had a couple of questions in advance, and I see another one now on the concealed carry weapon requests to the police department. The Supreme Court pretty much said anybody can get one. Have there been applications? Have any been issued by the police department?
Yes, and yes. So as we all know, yes, there's been a change in the law, a law that came out of New York, the Bruin decision, which changed the way California issues or can issue a concealed carry weapon, a firearm. And so the state did not provide any direction. So the city council and the police department worked together to develop an ordinance, and that's also, and I'll share the screen here again, but that's also on our website on how to apply, what's required, things of that nature. But I think more importantly is that we need to ensure that whoever owns a firearm, that the individuals can own a firearm, because as I mentioned, we seized over 1,200 firearms that again were possessed by people that were prohibited from having a firearm. But again, I understand that that's our right is to have or possess a firearm if we're legally able to do so. And some of those restrictions, the former mayor passed what's called the gun harm reduction ordinance, which requires those that are legally or can legally possess a firearm to have liability insurance and then also pay a fee. But in terms of the CCW, or the concealed carry, we have over 1,000 applications, and that's something that we're going through. Some of the ones that we've issued or reissued were CCW permits that had been issued years ago, and it's something that we had to again reissue. But I think out of the new application, I think we issued one. But again, I'll quickly share my screen here. So under you go to our website, sjpd.org, under records, there's CCW policy and procedures. You'll have everything you need to know.
Thank you.
What we need, and then also information on the gun harm reduction ordinance that we have.
Thank you. That's great. We're running up against time here, and I would like to ask one more question. You mentioned employing or working with non-uniformed workers in dealing with problems with individuals with mental health or other issues that in the past sometimes have resulted in violence that social workers and therapists have said really was not necessary. How have you seen any decrease in those kinds of confrontations since you've been doing this? I do not recall for a while now hearing about one of those incidents involving shooting or death, but things may be happening. Can you talk about that, what you're doing and what kinds of incidents people have been brought into to help?
Sure. Yeah, we've done several things here to do that, and I'm gonna knock on wood here again. You're right. We haven't had an incident that involved someone in the mental health crisis that resulted in some type of major injury or death. And I'm happy to say that since the inception, since we started our mobile crisis assessment team, our MCAT team, 2 years ago, we've had zero uses of force when responding to someone that's in a mental health crisis. So that's huge. And some of the things that we've done is we stood up that program. Again, the mobile crisis assessment team, the MCAT team. We also added, and by the way, what they do is 4 officers on each side of the week and a sergeant, they respond to these type of calls. And again, triage the call, slow it down, because we've trained everyone of our officers in de-escalation, crisis intervention training, again, to be more aware of what is needed and basically slow things down. So the MCAT team responds out to those incidents and is a resource, right? Contacts the individual's doctor, the family, the county clinicians, whatever is needed, Veterans Affairs, to provide them with the resources that are needed to ensure that they get the proper services. The other part of that is we have the PERT team, which is the psychiatric emergency response team. And that officer is partnered with a clinician. So they go out in the field to provide immediate service, behavioral health services. And that's something that we want to expand. I know our partnership with the county and the behavioral health services is very important and very crucial for that success of that program. So, we hope that the county can continue with those services so we can, again, provide the best service we can to our community. But again, I'm happy to say that, yes, additional training, like I talked about our resources, we need to provide that not only to these officers, but others, and train others in that in case our MCAT team isn't available. Other officers have that same training and hopefully experience. And then also with our crisis intervention training. So that's something that, we're going to continue doing with de-escalation, crisis intervention, to ensure that these incidents do not turn into something more than they need to.
Thank you very much. I see that we are being flagged here. It is 1 o'clock, and our host is popping in. This has been a really interesting conversation. Thank you, Chief.
No, thank you. And I hope this isn't the last time. I mean, I'm more than happy to come back, speak to the league or others in more in depth.
Thank you.
I want to thank Barbara for moderating the questions and just doing a superb job as usual. And I want to especially thank Chief Anthony Mata for being here today and being so frank and open and honest with us. I feel a lot safer. Thank you. I was glad to hear about the MCAT team in particular. And I'm glad you showed us the San Jose website because there's so much good information there. I can recall years ago sitting in a neighborhood community meeting and learning that all the crime statistics are also available. You can even track it by where you live. So if people want that information, that would be good. I have a really quick question. Marie Arnold, who also is from Chicago, wanted to know what high school you went to. She said she went to, she went to Visitation High School. Wondered if you might have been from the same area.
Yeah. So I saw that too. I think I just responded, but I grew up in the Pilsen neighborhood. It was primarily Czechoslovakian, Polish, and Italian, and I traveled all the way to the south side of Chicago to go to St. Rita High School, which I still support, and was a former Chicago police officer before coming out here. But I remember Visitation. It was, I think, our school was an all-boys school. I think the all-girls schools was either Visitation or Maria High School or Mother McCauley, if I remember that, in South Chicago. Yes.
Marie will be happy to hear about that. She's a longtime league member and was actually one of the founders of our Lunch with League program. So I just needed to ask that.
Sure.
I thank you again so much. We need to spend the time to get beyond sort of the headlines or the emotional responses to what we're hearing nationally and to give some perspective. And thank you so much, because I think that's really helpful. I think we need to better understand all that's going on. Law enforcement is so important. It's an important piece of the expectations people have of living in a safe community. And I feel reassured. Thank you so much for your service and dedication to this cause, and for not retiring and working with
No,
making
no, thank
policing
you.
better.
No, thank you for having me. It was my pleasure and honor. And again, I hope we can continue this partnership so we can educate our community.
Let's do that, because we do need that education. I
Yes.
just want to let our league members and our public know that our next Lunch with League will be on Thursday, May the 18th. Our guest speaker then will be Deb Kramer. She is the executive director of Keep Coyote Creek Beautiful. And she'll be speaking about the opportunities of Coyote Creek, one of the major waterways in the city of San Jose, and the opportunities that we have there. So thank you all for joining us today. I know you've learned an awful lot. I certainly have. And thank you again, Barbara and Chief Mata. So we'll see you again next month for the next Lunch with Lee. And I think I'll appreciate it. Bye now.
Bye.